What's up, you guys? It's Rob here. Today I'm going to be going over Biden's infrastructure plan, part one. This is going to be a two-part plan that we will see the second part of this later. But overall, the first part of this plan is going to be around $2.2 trillion, and the second plan is going to be $1.7 trillion. The first part is going to be focusing primarily on the infrastructure of the country, while the second part of it's going to be focused on the human infrastructure, so child tax credits, elderly tax credits, and etc. things below. But before we hop into this, do me a favor and hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm and hit that subscribe button. Roughly about 10% of you guys who watch or subscribe. If you can, just hit that subscribe button. It does a lot for a small channel like me. It helps me out with the YouTube algorithm when I make videos like this. I greatly appreciate it. And down below, I have a referral link for Webull. You get 2 free stocks when you sign up for Webull. One when you sign up, and then another when you deposit $100 on the platform. Those stocks can be valued anywhere between $8 and $1,850. But anyways, pitch over. So breaking down this bill for you guys is going to be pretty much a talking head video, so feel free to listen to me and just go through the internet, continue doing on whatever you want to do, because this is going to be me talking here. So unless if you want to stare at my beautiful face for however long this is going to be, feel free. But so breaking it down, transportation is going to be $620 billion of this. $115 billion of this is going to be going to bridges, highways, and then $20 billion of that is going to be going to road safety, because apparently about 20,000 miles of our road in this country are really bad. And I definitely do agree that there are really bad parts of road in this country that need to be taken care of. On top of that, 10 bridges, most economically significant, will be replaced, and then we'll repair about 10,000 bridges on top of that. That's according to Biden. After that, we have about $85 billion for public transportation, so new rail cars and transportation that connect cities into cities, so connecting smaller cities like College Park, Maryland, into Washington, D.C. to make sure that people can easily get from those and get downtown D.C. On top of that, $80 billion for Amtrak, $25 billion for airports, $17 billion for ports, inlays, and ferries. Quick second, if you know where a ferry is used in the United States, can you just drop a comment down below? Because I'm honestly generally curious, but just do that for me. But $20 billion for disadvantaged communities and priorities transportation. Next category is really honestly going to be the one that we're pretty much mostly interested in. It's going to be EVs. We're going to be getting about $174 billion for EVs, and that's going to be in the form of some tax incentives. So that it includes sales rebates, tax incentives for consumers to buy American-made cars. So we got to really focus on the American-made aspect, because this is apparently going to be only for American-made EVs. Biden also had the bold, audacious goal of 500K charging stations by 2030. Now, one stock that everyone needs to keep their eyes on is ChargePoint, because that's really going to affect ChargePoint. He also wants to electrify buses and federal vehicles and transition to electric and hydrogen. So he did say the word hydrogen. Buy American, made in America cars. So fuel cell and plug power are going to be the 2 hydrogen plays that I know of that are going to be really huge. So next topic is going to be research and development. So $180 billion to upgrade research infrastructure and labs at universities and federal agencies, focusing really on climate science and addressing gender and racial inequalities in science, math, and tech, so STEM fields. The next huge thing that he highlighted over was manufacturing. So $300 billion for manufacturing, $50 billion for semiconductor manufacturing research. Very important, because semiconductors are very commonly used in electronic vehicles. $50 billion for the National Science Foundation, $50 billion for the Department of Commerce to create a new office to monitor domestic industrial capacity. So monitor our supply chains, basically, because we don't want to have a shortage on semiconductors, because currently we have a shortage on semiconductors, and Ford announced today that they had to shut down part of their EV facility, and NIO had to shut down part of their facility, if not the whole entire facility, for a couple of days. I don't know if it's open currently right now, but we need to monitor our supply chain because it's a very fragile system. But the next topic after that is going to be the massive broadband expansion. I'll highlight that out a little bit more later. Next thing he dove into was $100 billion for workforce development, including apprenticeships and for those who have lost their jobs. Biden believes this is going to create hundreds of thousands of jobs. And then really the next critical aspect of our infrastructure is the electric grid. So $100 billion for a more resilient grid so we don't have a repeat of what happened in Texas, because that was a very, very bad situation. And then this is a sentence that I really couldn't wrap my head around, but a 10-year extension and phase down of an expanded refundable investment tax credit and production credit for renewable energy generation and storage. That sounds like a loaded sentence to me that I really don't understand. But we should be getting more details on this in the future of what he's exactly talking about. The next thing after that's going to be higher labor standards, and then he has a goal of 100% carbon pollution free power by 2035. So in 14 years from now, we're going to be carbon pollution free power. On top of that, $16 billion for abandoned mines and gas wells. The next thing, talking about carbon capture, there's going to be 10 carbon capture facilities, expands carbon capture credits, makes Section 45Q refundable and easier to claim on your taxes, and then $10 billion for climate civilian corporations that employ Americans. Really, this is going to be if you can ring the bell for anything, that this blew my mind. Clean water. So $45 billion to eliminate lead pipes nationwide. $56 billion in grants for low-cost states and localities to improve the water systems, and $10 billion to bolster rural well and waste systems. Biden's goal is to replace 100% of the nation's lead pipes and service lines, so every American can have clean drinking water. And in his eyes, every $5K expense on lead pipes could save roughly $22K in healthcare related costs due to lead pipes for those individuals who are drinking from lead-based pipes. Also, the key thing I want to break down here is also lead service lines. So you have the pipes within your house, and then you also have the pipe that gets the water to the community that you live in, and then you have a service line that comes from the main line into your house. That service line may be lead-based, and he wants to ensure that lead-based pipe is replaced. So we're going to dive more deeper in the broadband now, but $100 billion for high-speed internet to all Americans. He really wants all Americans to have access to high-speed internet, and more transparent pricing and subsidies for low-income households. Speaking of households, $213 billion of this bill is going to be going to build and renovate more than 2 million affordable homes. Tax credits to build housing for low-income families, and $40 billion for public housing. Upgrade commercial as well. This wasn't included in the bill, but who knows? Speaking of which, I'm going to be including the bill down below here so you can review it for yourself and take a look at it too. And let me know if I missed anything out or misunderstood or misinterpreted something. But the next thing after that's going to be schools and childcare, $50 billion in direct grants and an additional $50 billion of those through bonds. So $50 billion in grants, $50 billion in bonds, and then $12 billion in community college facilities, $25 billion to upgrade childcare facilities and provide incentives for employees to provide on-site childcare. Next couple of things really aren't related to the critical infrastructure of our country, but they're more related to the human infrastructure aspects. So elder care, $400 billion for housing and care of the elderly people with disabilities. $10 billion to modernize our VA hospitals and clinics. And then the fun things that no one's going to like, really. 15% minimum tax corporation profits. So every company in America has to pay at least a minimum 15% corporation tax. So it's a good thing because companies like Amazon will have to pay taxes now versus not paying anything. And then he's going to be hiking the corporate tax rate to 28%, and he claims that no one's really going to complain about this. There's going to be people that are going to complain about this. Next good thing is he's raising the international taxes. So if you bring anything from overseas, it's going to be a 21% tax instead of a 13% tax. And then on top of that, we know he has the EV initiative, so he's going to be eliminating all oil and gas tax breaks. So eliminate all tax preferences for oil and gas industries and require companies that pollute to pay into the super trust fund. And then the next thing after this is going to be the IRS. The IRS is going to be focusing on additional audits of corporations and individuals. With the individuals, we'll have more details on this coming within the week. And then the huge thing that Biden wanted to highlight, and I want to emphasize on this, that this is not going to be the situation in the future. So Biden said that the Trump tax cuts gave 83% of the money to the top 1% in the country based on a projection of what would happen by 2027 if the individual tax credits expired after 2025. But when that changes sooner, the benefit will be much lower and it will be more around 21% instead. So to highlight this, the first part of this plan is going to be called the American Jobs Plan, and it will boost our edge, and markets like biotech, batteries, computer chips, clean energy will all benefit from this plan. His main philosophy behind this is to have us in a competition with China, and the critics on Wall Street are saying that we shouldn't spend this money because it's going to be a sugar rush to the economy because we've already spent enough money in the past. He also highlighted that he had a 2-hour-long conversation with Xi Jinping. Correct me if I mispronounced that name wrong. And that this bill has a 15-year vision. So, of course, he's going to be looking 15 years down the road when he wants to be carbon pollution free by 2035, roughly. So, the idea of this is spend $2 trillion over 8 years, invest the money in the country, so that we aren't failing to make these investments and putting our children at a disadvantage and adding on to our debt. So, and on top of that, apparently we rank 13th and as our infrastructure in the world, and apparently in his eyes we are crumbling. So I don't really know about that, but that's really most of the plan. The one thing that I really wanted, the couple things that I added on to this was that Tesla's Gigafactory will now take twice the amount of employees. So instead of 5,000 employees, it's going to employ about 10,000 people. And then on top of that, no one making under 400K will see their federal taxes go up. So keep that in mind. Only your federal taxes might not go up, but other taxes may. And apparently, historically, this topic has been bipartisan, so it'll be very interesting to see if the Republicans work with the Democrats on this bill or not. And then on top of that, Biden just kind of pulled something out of nowhere. And China is apparently eating our lunch when it comes in his head on infrastructure. And there's no reason that this shouldn't be a bipartisan thing, because we want to be able to compete with China as far as our infrastructure goes. But really, when we get down to it, the bill movement, this is expected to be passed in August/September-ish of this year. And most likely the passage is going to be through reconciliation if the Senate parliamentarian says that it's good. So if he or she says it's bad, then it can't be passed through reconciliation, and we'll have to have 60 votes versus 51. So, but that's all I got for you guys. If you can, smash that like button. If you made it this far in the video, remember, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and then down below I have a referral link to Webull. You get 2 free stocks with Webull. One when you sign up for the account, the second one when you deposit $100 on the account, and those can be valued between $8,000 and $1,850. So enough. I'll see you guys in the next one.